Hey Star Trek fans, Dan Gunther here. Welcome back to another Week in Trek. A fairly quiet week for official news from the Star Trek universe this week, but there are a couple of things of note to share with you today. We also, of course, have the continuation of Star Trek Discovery's final season, as well as a new comic release. Let's take a look at the news first.
You're the captain of the most important space station in the entire Federation. You're news.
In November of 2023, we reported on our podcast, Positively Trek, that the original first model of the USS Enterprise had surfaced in an eBay auction. This model of the Enterprise was the first constructed for the television series and served as the prototype for the 11-foot model that was used in the majority of the VFX shots of the famous starship. This model, which had been missing for decades, was being sold on the online auction website. After a few experts weighed in that it seemed very likely to be the authentic 3-foot model used in Star Trek the original series alongside the more prominent 11-foot model, and seen in numerous production and publicity photos, the eBay auction disappeared, and people claiming to be in the know said that the seller had been contacted regarding the model's provenance. Well now, nearly 6 months later, we have some news to bring you regarding this piece of Star Trek history. The model has made its way back to its rightful owner, son of Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, Eugene Rod Roddenberry. A number of experts in the history of Star Trek and the model itself, including Gary Kerr, Mike Okuda, and Doug Drexler, got a chance to inspect it over the past few days. The Enterprise is in pretty rough shape, showing its age and quite a bit of physical damage. Roddenberry's hope is to restore the model and one day be able to present it in something approaching its original condition. "This is not going home to adorn my shelves," Roddenberry said. "This is going to get restored, and we're working on ways to get it out so the public can see it, and my hope is that it will land in a museum somewhere." Presumably, the restoration work will take some time, as this is truly a priceless artifact with which great care must be taken. When we learn of any news about where and when the model might one day be available for display, we will let you know. Friday, April 19th, was a sad day for Trek fandom as it lost one of its most prominent members. John Trimble, husband of Joe Trimble, has passed away. The Trimbles are famous in Trek circles for having launched the unprecedented letter-writing campaign that saved the original Star Trek from cancellation after its second season in 1968. It was through their efforts and the support of millions of Star Trek fans that NBC eventually renewed the classic Star Trek series for a third season. It's not an exaggeration to say that were it not for the efforts of Joe and John Trimble, Star Trek wouldn't be what it is today. Our deepest condolences to the friends and family of John, and thank you to you and to Joe Trimble for all of your efforts and hard work in the service of Star Trek fandom.
The answer is still no, Quark.
No? No to what?
I'm not going to allow you to sell merchandise over the station's monitors.
Why not? It's a brilliant idea.
On Wednesday this week, the next issue in the Star Trek Defiant comic series from IDW is released. Defiant number 14, written by Christopher Cantwell, with art by Angel Unzueta. Here's the synopsis. Resistance is futile. Cornered by their own parasitically possessed crewmate, Worf and the Defiant crew scramble for a way to safely save her before it's too late. But the Hive is eager to grow its numbers, seeking total dominance over a galactic level of organic species, after already claiming Starbase 99's crew as hosts. Trapped and unable to call Starfleet for assistance, Hugh suggests taking drastic measures, assimilate B'Elanna to Borg tech. Star Trek Defiant number 14 is out on Wednesday, April 24th. And on Thursday, episode 5 of the 5th and final season of Star Trek Discovery airs. Mirrors, written by Johanna Lee and Carlos Cisco and directed by Jen McGowan, marks the halfway point in the 10-episode season. Here's the synopsis from Paramount. Captain Burnham and Book journey into extra-dimensional space in search of the next clue to the location of the progenitor's power. Meanwhile, Rayner navigates his first mission in command of the USS Discovery, and Culber opens up to Tilly. Mirrors is released on Paramount Plus on Thursday, April 25th. Keep an eye on this channel for our review of the episode. And that's a wrap on another Week in Trek. Thank you to the Patreon supporters of Kertrats Productions. We truly appreciate your help with the channel. To everyone else, as always, thank you so much for watching. Just a heads up that next week there will be no new episode of This Week in Trek, as I will be away attending the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo. But rest assured, I will have a new review of this week's Discovery episode, Mirrors, as well as a new episode of the Positively Trek Book Club podcast, in which returning host Bruce Gibson and I review the final 7 stories in the hardcover collection of Star Trek Explorer Presents The Mission and Other Stories. I hope that you'll join us for that, and until then, as always, live long and prosper.